The doors of your car will close automatically. Please keep your head and arms inside and remain seated at all times. And please, no smoking. Thank you.
Matterhorn Matt presents Matterhorn Mondays.
Hey there, Mountaineers. Welcome to a very special episode 20 of Matterhorn Mondays. I'm your host, Matterhorn Matt.
And I'm Alex the Historian.
And you guys know who Alex is by now. You've been sitting in the chat for over almost 30 minutes, and we really appreciate your guys' patience because for some reason OBS didn't wanna communicate well with Skype. So yes, the topics for this week is paying for fast passes, a second entrance / exit to Disneyland, and the future of the monorail. Now, let's get started with the first topic, which is paying for fast passes. Now, I saw online, I believe it was a couple days ago, that certain Disney World guests will have the opportunity to pay for, I guess it's extra fast passes, because I don't really remember how fast passes work in Walt Disney World, but I believe they only get a certain amount that you get to book in advance. But with this new system they're testing out, certain guests can be able to pay for more fast passes. And we wanted to see what you guys thought on the idea of paying for fast passes at Disneyland. Now, this already is sort of a thing with Max Pass, but it's really completely different. This comes down to the fact of having a paid-only system for fast passes. And Alex, what is your opinion on paying for fast passes at Disneyland?
Paying for fast passes. I don't like it. I don't like that idea. I mean, even with the whole where they have the My Magic Band and all that. I mean, there's something interesting about that. You kind of get to set up your whole day ahead of time. I guess that's okay, but having to pay extra for getting fast passes just seems wrong. I mean, for one thing, we all know that fast passes are what causes the regular standby line to grow to this huge long line, because then they have to stop every once in a while and let fast pass people go through, which holds up the regular line, and then making people pay more for that just to slow down lines at other attractions. You're kind of hurting yourself when you're doing that, and so having to pay to hurt yourself, that's reminiscent of something else. But in any case, it's not what you want to do at a Disney park. You know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's really just Disney's money-grubbing side just coming out full force, because fast passes were free at one point in Walt Disney World, I believe, and you can argue that Disneyland is going the same route that Walt Disney World is, with no paper fast passes available at all, and only being able to use the Max Pass, which you guys know is $10 a day per guest. And if you have a party of 5 people, that's for like 5 days staying at the park. That's way more money than I'm sure you'd be willing to spend. I mean, you could probably get just one Max Pass per person, or like just one Max Pass for one person, but it's really a slippery slope that I'm sure a lot of us don't want to see Disney sort of going down that road.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole thing being about paying extra, it's all about Disney trying to get more money out of your pocket. They're trying to find all the best ways to get the money out of your pocket, get you to spend more. And so it's not really about your when it comes to this situation, it's not really about the convenience. It's about making you pay more.
I mean, you could also argue that paying or like booking fast passes in advance could be sort of convenient for guests. I mean, I don't know. It really depends on what kind of person you are. If you like to plan step by step, what your day is going to be like. You have this itinerary list with 1,000 things on it, then for sure you'd love to be able to book your fast passes in advance and I guess like pay for the convenience of booking them in advance. But yeah, it really, I mean, I don't know. It's a tough sort of topic that I really hope Disney doesn't go down this road. Trevor Random says, no way I would pay for Fast Pass, and Adventure Artist says, wouldn't want. So there's your consensus, Disney. We don't want to pay for our Fast Passes.
And let's see, the Gumby67 says, I don't think that Max Pass is necessarily designed for annual pass holders. They're more for tourists who don't get to enjoy the parks as often. I completely agree with that. Once again, like I was just saying, it's not about making things easier on you. It's really just designed to get more money out of those tourists who are, visiting the park for the first time or for the first time in, so long, and they're paying for the daily thing, and, annual pass holders, they kind of know like, oh, I'm not going to pay extra for a service like this. So I guess, all of us, we kind of agree with that. But I wonder, to someone who's never visited the parks before, I wonder if it's something that seems interesting, that seems enticing, like, oh, I want to buy this buy fast passes. And I don't know, I mean, like I said, it's really kind of money grubbing, but if I try to think about it the other way around, you do get to have so many fast passes in a day because you paid for them, and you could use them whenever you want. So there is kind of an upside in the sense that, instead of having to wait every 2 hours or until you've gone on a ride for you to get another fast pass, so you're already pretty much guaranteed so many fast passes. So I don't know, but I just can't get past the fact that they just really want to charge people more money, and make them spend more on their visit.
Yeah, I mean, the normal Fast Passes are already free now. You don't have to pay to use Fast Passes at Disneyland, but I mean, yeah, I agree with Alex. I don't think we should have to pay for Fast Passes at all. I mean, I understand that we have to pay for Max Pass. It's sort of a, I guess, like convenience fee. But like you said, a lot of non-regular people who visit the parks I think they would jump on the idea of being able to book fast passes from, like wherever they are from their smartphones. And to them, it might not even be $5 a day, might not even be that much money to them.
That's true. I mean, if they're paying that much money to go into a Disney park for, for once in their life, they're probably ready to pay for more conveniences as well. I don't know. Like, I guess because I'm a local, I guess I just wouldn't want that, because I get to go to Disneyland every week. And I don't know, just paying for fast passes seems wrong, I hate to repeat myself, but but yeah.
I mean, I'd pay for it once just to try it out, and if I like it, I might pay for it again. Who knows? But Nicholas says it is good to have a choice. Some may not have time to wait in lines, while others may not. That is a very good point. If you're stuck in the line of a ride and you want a fast pass for, say, Indiana Jones, you can just whip out your phone, go to the app, and book a fast pass for Indiana Jones, and it's just as easy as that. I mean, it really is sort of a double-edged sword when it comes to this.
Yep. It's one of those things that could really make people turn against Disney. Some people in this comment section are, Martin Cervantes says Disney is bleeding us dry, and that's kind of the point. That's what's causing us to turn against them, is things like this that really are just trying to squeeze all the money out of us per visit as they can. And I mean, I know that's their goal. They're a company, and that, They're all about trying to make a money off of your visit. But I don't know. Once again, it's like shooting yourself in the foot and being, and paying to do so. It's just like, because when you get off of one attraction that you've already used a fast pass for, and let's say you want to go on Jungle Cruise but don't want to use a fast pass for, I'm not even sure fast pass is on Jungle Cruise, but let's say you want to go on Jungle Cruise next, then that line is extra long because fast passes are allowing people to go through to it. Once again, that's just an example. I don't really know if they use fast passes for that one, but same thing for Indiana Jones Adventure. Let's say you used up all your fast passes in the day on other attractions and you want to go on Indiana Jones Adventure. And next thing you know, the wait time is like 65 to 70 minutes. And that's all because people are using their fast passes and making that line doubly long.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, fast passes are a great convenience, but I agree with Alex. I also agree with the Gumby 67. Exactly. Us APs have gotten to write everything we want. Max Pass is for visitors who don't have the same opportunity. I agree with that. Even though I'm not an annual pass holder, I'm sure Alex could speak better on... I forgot to change the scene. There we go. Even though Alex probably knows better than what I do, yeah, I agree with the Gumby 67. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, the image changed.
Yes, I forgot. I just realized that I forgot to change. That's okay. Let's go ahead and segue to our second topic, which is a second exit / entrance to the park. Now, I saw this post on a Mice Chat. I didn't read the article. I just saw the title and thought, hey, that would make a great podcast topic. But it could be argued that Disneyland or even California Adventure, I'm going to exclude from this topic. But for Disneyland, it could be argued that there should be a second entrance / exit to the park. I mean, look when the fireworks have just ended. Guests, I don't even know how many people, but hundreds and hundreds of guests are hoarding to the exit when there could be a second one somewhere up off Toontown. And I don't know. What are your thoughts on a second entrance or exit to Disneyland, Alex?
Well, Disneyland's purpose for having one exit goes way back to Walt Disney himself. Walt Disney insisted that the park have only one entrance and exit, and that was because he didn't like the idea... excuse me, I just yawned. Whoa. Okay. He didn't like the idea of people getting lost because, for instance, I went to SeaWorld and they have like several exits and entrances, and they all look the same to me, being a first visitor. And so figuring out at the end of the day which exit I came from and where I parked was really difficult. I mean, my family got so confused, and we don't normally get confused in theme parks and stuff. It's usually our thing, but Walt Disney had this same fear because a lot of amusement parks had multiple entrances and stuff. And so, it's just, it's one of those things that it's like a fix to a bug that you might have. And, so I've heard a lot of people say, well, they're building Star Wars Land, they should add a new guest entrance right over there, / exit. Oh my gosh, I yawned again. Okay. So, I know, so poor Alex needs a nap. I know. I'm so embarrassed right now because I'm live and I'm yawning in front of everybody. Anyway, I don't agree with having an extra entrance or exit. I mean, I know that Main Street can get really crowded and stuff, but it's all part of the show. I mean, there's something about walking in on Main Street and, there's the red bricks everywhere, kind of like having a red carpet to an entrance, to a show, which is what Disney likes to call it, and having this multiple entrance, such as one in, like, let's say Cars Land and stuff like that, it's it could cause confusion, as to where someone entered or exited the park from. And then on top of that, it's not magical. I mean, just exiting the park through Cars Land sorry, not Cars Land, Star Wars Land. Exiting the park through Star Wars Land just doesn't seem magical to me. It seems like an interruption, like you're interrupting a movie or a show without going to the ending. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody.
Now, it could be argued that if this is a huge if, because it's probably not going to happen, but if Disneyland decides to build a Star Wars themed hotel next to Star Wars Land, there would be, I guess, sort of a second entrance or exit to Star Wars Land through the hotel. And that's sort of an interesting way of putting it, because with California Adventure, we have the Grand Californian Hotel, which kind of serves as a second entrance or exit. And I mean, I always enjoy walking through the exit of California Adventure through the hotel, but I agree with Alex. I'd want to keep with what Walt would have wanted. California Adventure is not what Walt would have wanted, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, Trevor Random says Monorail is the answer, and I agree with that statement. It kind of ties into our third topic, but Nicholas says, any news on the proposed Skyway over Harbor Boulevard to connect the proposed new parking structure to the park? I don't think there's been any recent news about that, but it could sort of make as an interesting addition to the park, don't you think, Alex?
Well, I kind of wish that they would have gone ahead with the parking structure idea and the not Skyway, but I mean the little sky bridge. Mm-hmm. I wish that they would have done that, because we do need all the parking we can get. But they're going to build a parking structure just south of Mickey and Friends anyway, so I mean that'll help. But I do agree that we do need something done about the Eastern Gateway, because, I mean, I go to Disneyland and I end up waiting an hour in those lines just outside the eastern side of the Esplanade, and that's not cool. We need something done about that.
Yeah, I'm also really sad about the Eastern Gateway. I wish they would have found a way to make it work with the businesses. I mean, I said a while back that I don't think the Eastern Gateway is completely dead. I feel like Disney could sort of spring up out of the blue a new proposal for the Eastern Gateway that would make the businesses on Harbor Boulevard happy, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, since they're already going through with the new hotel and the new parking structure. But for me, this really comes down to the fact that Disneyland has so little space left. I don't think there would be enough space to put a second entrance or exit anywhere. I mean, they'd have to demolish a bunch of backstage stuff, and with Star Wars Land, there's already taking up way too much space than what that land needs to have. But yeah, for me, it really comes down to the size that Disneyland is and the size of land they have to work with.
That's an interesting thing too, because like you said about the size of the park, it really is a small park, people. It's not like you're, walking around this huge giant place. I mean, okay, it's big, but it's not unbearably big, So going from Star Wars Land to the main entrance is not so bad. And like I was saying about that story thing earlier, there's something about ending the story the way you began, and that's the way it is for the Disneyland main entrance. You enter one way and you see this magical place, and it's designed so that way when you exit you feel that what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know, that nice little ending, that nice little disconnect, and that's what That's what we need. But if there is something that I do have to say, it is that we do need help with Main Street because it does get flooded with people, and the backstage, what do they call them? The overflow corridors, they do help, but I think something more grand needs to be done to help that. Now, one interesting thing about Star Wars Land that kind of helps the flow with the park, I guess we're talking about crowd control now, but the thing about Star Wars Land is you can go from Critter Country to Fantasyland. So that way you don't have to go all the way south of the river and stuff like that. So that helps with crowd control. That helps alleviate some congestion. I know some people complain that if they're in Critter Country late at night and they want to exit the park, they have trouble getting through New Orleans Square and Adventureland. Well, that problem might be alleviated or helped in some way once Star Wars Land opens. So at least that's what I'm hoping. And if it, oh my god, oh my god, I need to stop yawning. Okay, and if it does alleviate that problem, then maybe we won't need this second entrance. Is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, it really comes down to the fact, like, what else really can they do? There's no extra space to really widen Main Street anymore than it already has been with the overflow corridors. And that's, for me, it's really sad because Disneyland is, these days, more than most, has been really crowded, and sort of the crowds really take away from the magic, I know, for a lot of people. And it's just really sad to see because I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. With Magic Kingdom, you have so much space on Main Street, and even just between the different lands, there's just, so much space because that's the way they planned it out. They didn't want it to be crowded like Disneyland was. And it's really like Disneyland just gets the short end of the stick for a lot of things. I mean, I'm not blaming Walt for not making the park bigger. I'm just saying it's like we really do get the short end of the stick sometimes.
Yeah, Gary Vaughn says, I think an exit only is appropriate relating to the ease of access to parking. The main entrance is a long trip to the car with very tired children and adults. And, I understand that completely. But I still argue about the show. One of Disney's 4 keys on their list of key things is the show and the way that it operates. So basically, it's kind of like going to a theater, like a live theater, and and you see this show or this play happening. And, your children might get tired through that play and fall asleep and things like that. But, for everyone, the show must go on and end and have a nice ending. They can't just abruptly end the show. And like I said, exiting through Main Street is the ending of the show. And so, if there were another exit, then some people may not be able to experience that magical feeling of leaving through Main Street again. I mean, that's really the only way I can really think about it. Let's see. And Ken Roberts says, plus the Main Street shops stay open an hour past the park closing. That's another thing too. There's also a financial reason why Disney has only one exit. And it is just as Ken Roberts says, it is because people exit through Main Street, and Main Street has all the shops, and it's one last stop to get your souvenirs before you leave the park. So there is a financial thing to look at here. And so while I may be arguing about the show and how it ends properly, Disney is arguing that Main Street is a moneymaker and they can't just make people skip past Main Street. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Let's go ahead and move on to our final topic, which is sort of the one I'm excited to talk about, the future of the monorail, not only at Disneyland, but at Walt Disney World. Now, Alex, I don't know if you've seen the video, but this past week there is a video of one of the monorails in Walt Disney World moving with the door wide open. And it really begs the question, at least in Walt Disney World, of whether it's time to, quote, retire the monorail. And here in Disneyland, I mean, there really is monorail. The monorail isn't really much of a, I guess, sort of a transportation device as Walt would have wanted. But it really begs the question of what the future for the monorail is. Now, a few episodes ago, I remember you're the one that pointed out the fact that on the sort of mock-ups for the new parking structure and the new hotel they're making, the monorail track was sort of shortened without all the sort of zigzags over in Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. And Alex, what are your thoughts on the future of the monorail?
At least for Disneyland, I don't foresee the monorail going away. For one thing, I mean, I know it's expensive to maintain, but it also does provide a a service for the hotel guests who are staying at Disneyland Hotel. And when they finish building this new hotel that will be right there, I mean, the monorail will be right in the lobby. And so, if anything, it's going to increase how many people go into the park through the monorail system. And so it's kind of interesting because the monorail system, which also in this kind of ties into the entrance exit of the park thing, is that the monorail is like taking a spaceship into Tomorrowland and dropping in, and that's how you enter the park. That's a great way to enter and exit the park. And the other thing too about the monorail system is that it's kind of historic. I mean, it's the first daily operating monorail system on the Western Hemisphere, and the monorail was originally installed in the park as an intention to kind of bring a preview to the Los Angeles city for a proposed monorail system that would go in the city of Los Angeles. And so, there's a history behind it, and I don't foresee it going in the future. But I do know that there are a lot of tight restrictions on it. I mean, for instance, we all know that there used to be sometimes 3 monorails on the Disneyland track at once. But now they've reduced it to a maximum of 2 because of the incident that happened at Walt Disney World where 2 monorails collided. And so there are some steep regulations that are going to happen, but I kind of foresee the monorail, if anything, expanding in the future to allow more guests.
Yeah, we also pointed out a couple weeks ago on the concept art for the new hotel that they're building in Disneyland, the fact that I believe they're, at least in the concept art, this is not confirmed at all from Disney, at least as far as I know. In the concept art, it has, the monorail has, I believe, 7 or 8 trains when it normally has, no, I can't remember now. I think it was 7 or maybe.
It was 7.
7, yeah. When the monorail currently only
It was
has.
7.
I'm totally blanking, but when the monorail currently has 4 trains, I just can't remember anything. But yeah, that is just totally based. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that I think what you mean is that the monorail normally only has 5 cars, but in the concept art it showed 7 cars.
I don't know why I thought 3, but
yeah.
This is not confirmed by Disney at all to our knowledge. It's just something we noticed in the concept art that we didn't really see anyone else talking about. And we also discussed the fact that since the monorail is going to have, well, I guess, quote, a dedicated stop in the new hotel, since it's going to be, like Alex said, right in the main lobby, it really begs the question of whether the monorail will be for hotel guests only, or if it's just going to be open for everybody like it normally is. I could really see Disney dedicating one train, maybe two, to hotel guests and the rest to non-hotel guests. It's really an interesting topic to think about.
Hmm. The monorail for me is something that's really amazing. I know, like, if people who live in Vegas or Seattle, they go, oh, well, we have monorails and they're no big deal. But Disneyland's monorail really is magical, and I do love riding aboard the monorail and going in and out of the park and stuff like that. So, it's one of those things that I hope never goes away. It's what makes Disneyland Disneyland, is seeing that monorail go by. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I was saying, I pretty much only see the monorail expanding in the future. And of course, just like Matterhorn Matt said, it's not confirmed yet that the monorail will expand to 7 cars and a bigger station. We don't know that yet. It's just what I saw from the concept art of the new hotel and its monorail station. But I wouldn't be opposed to it expanding, in fact. Sometimes, you can wait at the Downtown Disney monorail station, and have 2 monorails pass by you before you ever get on. So, increasing the capacity is something that I think that would be necessary.
Yeah, I agree with you. And now there were proposals to expand the monorail track during the whole Westcott phase was happening, which was eventually scrapped. I really wish they would somehow incorporate a stop in California Adventure, or maybe even in the Disneyland Hotel itself. That would kind of turn the Disneyland monorail from sort of a ride to more of a mode of transportation, like the Walt Disney World monorail is, because the Walt Disney World monorail isn't really as much of a ride as it is an actual mode of transportation.
Yeah, if Westcott had been built, that would have been really cool, because the monorail would have gone inside that park on a big circle, and I think there would have been a station just outside the park entrance. Mm-hmm. That would have been really cool, to see the Disneyland monorail used as a transportation tool here at Disneyland Resort. I would have liked that.
Yeah, maybe one day, hopefully. Trevor Random says, wish we had a monorail in Disneyland Paris. And he's been saying, monorail, monorail. He really loves the monorail, Trevor does. We love the monorail too. Prodigy says, the Disney monorail is just so nostalgic for me. It is for me too. What about you, Alex? Is it nostalgic for you?
Oh, so nostalgic. And what's funny is every single time I ride the monorail, I'm so surprised at how tiny it is.
Mm-hmm. I know, me too.
You pretty much have to crawl into it, But I love it. And I think it's like such a magical experience just to ride into the park using the monorail. I love it.
Yeah, for some reason, I feel like a VIP guest when I ride in from the monorail to Tomorrowland. I don't know why. But
what's really great is riding in like the cockpit or at the very end.
I've always wanted to do that. I asked the last time we were in the park, but they said it was like too hot or something, and they wouldn't let us go on.
Oh.
One day I'll get
that's
my
weird
wish,
because those areas. Oh, I was gonna say that's weird because both those areas of the monorail are heavily given AC. So it's like, but yeah, it's weird that they do that because, well, what's funny is this Mark 7 monorail is the first Disneyland monorail to have AC, but the AC doesn't work as well as they would like it. Mm. Yeah. The Mark 5 didn't have AC.
That is really bizarre to think about. I guess this also sort of begs the question of when is it time to sort of update or upgrade the current monorail system we have, not just in Disneyland, but in Walt Disney World as well, because Walt Disney World has been having tons and tons of problems with their monorail. Like I mentioned earlier, the door was open like wide open during while it was moving, and I remember a couple months ago, like a huge chunk of metal or something fell off of the monorail and almost hit somebody, but we're lucky to not have that kind of misfortune here in Disneyland. But it really does, like I said, beg the question of whether it's time to upgrade the monorail in Disneyland.
Yeah, maybe have a Mark 8.
I mean, I'm not really much of a fan of the way the monorail looks now. I like the I don't remember what mark it was. I like the way they look in Walt Disney World. Those ones are super sleek, the white with just like the colored stripe on it. I like the way those look.
What? Oh, now that's where we differ. Because I really like the way the Mark 7 looks. I really like the way that the bright metallic colors and the sleek look of the way that it looked in the 60s. It reminds you of the look of the 60s. But this Mark 7 monorail, the current one, it's my favorite appearance of the monorail, actually. It's my favorite one.
Interesting. This doesn't really have anything to do with the topic, but I remember I strongly remember a while back when we were in Disneyland. I remember seeing the monorail with sort of the Finding Nemo overlay for the new subs that were going to open, and yeah, that didn't really have anything to do with what we were saying. I just thought it'd be nice to bring it up. Let's see.
The Gumby.
Oh, you were already going to say that. I was
going to say, yeah, the Gumby 67 says, I bet soon all tickets will be park hoppers, so we could very well see a future monorail stop in DCA. Actually, I think that Disney makes more money off of people paying separately for the tickets, because the park hopper is a slightly combined price, but it is in a way discounted. So it's not like paying for two separate tickets, but Disney makes more money off of people when they pay for separate tickets. So I think what they want is they want DCA to be able to stand on its own, so that way people would want to spend a whole day there and therefore purchase separate day tickets instead of a park hopper.
I mean, I don't know. What else is there to say? Trevor Random says, I really believe that monorails are the future for most inner cities today. Walt know that. Yes. I feel like the world has sort of brushed over the monorail as sort of a theme park attraction when it really is a decent mode of transportation. I mean, it's quiet. It runs above the city, so it's not really interfering with the traffic below. It could, like I said, weave in and out through buildings. It could really do a whole bunch of stuff that traffic or like cars or trains really can't do. And I really wish that we could see the monorail be incorporated in places other than theme parks, not just like the cheapo ones like from Las Vegas. I mean, like actual, you guys know what I'm talking about, like actual dedicated monorails.
High-speed monorails.
Yes. Yeah, just like weaving in and out through neighborhoods to drop off people at their houses. That would be really something awesome. I don't know. That might just be me. Probably not. I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I would really like to see monorails used here in Orange County where I live, or even in LA County. It's kind of funny. There's an old route that the red car trolley line used to take from downtown LA to downtown Santa Ana in Orange County. And this route cuts diagonally through the land, and it's several miles long. And I was thinking, like, today only parts of that route are built up with buildings and things like that, but for the most part the route is intact. And I thought, how cool would it be to have a monorail system that goes from downtown Santa Ana, which is the county seat of Orange County, and go all the way to downtown LA, just like it used to back in the red car trolley times, but as a monorail this time, a high-speed monorail. And, that I think would be just so cool and so useful to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, buses are not really. I mean, you guys could probably have your own opinions on public buses. I'm sure Alex does too, but I agree with Mark Allen. He said, almost seems surreal when it parallels the street for a while to be next to all that traffic. I mean, yeah, it really is awesome when you're on that part of the monorail passing next to the street and you're seeing all the cars just stuck in traffic down below while you're up ahead just gliding above without any traffic to worry about at all. It really is an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fast way to get around. I mean, it's kind of funny because Disneyland's monorail seems to be the only high-speed monorail in America, actually, because the other monorails in America are very slow, super slow. But imagine when you're going over Disneyland or the entrance to Disneyland and you're speeding along that one stretch of track, you're going pretty fast. You're probably going about 40 miles per hour at that point, which I know seems kind of slow. Like, what, 40 miles per hour? I do that in my sleep. Well, it's fast for a monorail. And the Disneyland monorails are designed to be high speed, so there you go.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, I guess the monorail nowadays is sort of outdated with the new Hyperloop coming out. That's going to be sort of a revolutionary mode of transportation. I mean, compared to the monorail, the Hyperloop is years ahead, I guess, like technology-wise. But it really would be nice to see a couple monorails up above your head when you're, I guess, like walking in downtown. I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Now,
and they're clean air vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Trevor says Japan has some cool monorails. I don't think I've ever been to Japan, but I wouldn't know. I'm sure they're cool, Trevor. One day I'll get to visit Japan and see the monorails over there. Now,
let's see.
Party Boy Gregory 82 says, I think the monorails in Walt Disney World are a bit faster and are bigger monorail. Now, I'm sure Alex can answer this better than I can. What are your thoughts on Party Boy's comment?
Yes, the Walt Disney World monorails are bigger than Disneyland's monorail. The ones in Walt Disney World are designed for you to stand in, and they're also designed to have plenty of floor space, so they can really pack the monorails full of people. So those are bigger, but to my knowledge, they're not faster. If anything, they're slightly slower because they're much bigger and hold more weight and more people. That's as far as I know about the Walt Disney World monorails. But the Walt Disney World monorails could be faster. As a matter of fact, as far as I know, the motors that drive the monorail are capable of going 70 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh.
But they limit the monorail's speed to 40 miles per hour maximum for safety purposes.
Imagine going 70 miles per hour above Tomorrowland. That would be absolutely insane. You need seatbelts to strap yourself in.
Yeah, that's the other reason why they don't go that fast. You need seatbelts for speeds like that.
Maybe one day we'll get to see a 70 mile per hour monorail zooming, maybe not even at Disneyland, zooming right over our heads, but a guy can dream, can't he?
I know, it's really amazing to think that Walt Disney intended to open a monorail system in Los Angeles. That was his intention. And the only way he could convince city officials that this was a feasible idea was to show it at Disneyland. I mean, the monorail used to be just a ride. It didn't go to the hotel originally. It just looped around Tomorrowland and went back to the station. But it was just amazing that Disneyland was this little testing ground for technologies like that and technologies like the People Mover.
Yes, I was actually just about to bring up the People Mover because the People Mover and the monorail are very similar in terms of transportation. Like I mentioned earlier about Westcott, there was a proposal to have people movers moving you in and out through, I believe, the parking structure, and to have monorails take you to the front gates of the park. I'm sure I got that completely wrong, but when it comes to people movers, monorails, imagine a world where you could ride a monorail and then just hop off and get on a people mover that would take you directly to your house, much like Walt Disney's original Epcot would have been. That would be something really amazing to see.
Totally swell.
Nathan Moore says, "Hey Matt, how much does it cost to visit all the parks at Walt Disney World?" That, my friend, I do not have an exact answer on. Alex, what are you?
Oh, of course you choose me to answer. I'm happy to answer this question. Okay, so a single park ticket at Walt Disney World is, I think, $105 right now. And so if you were to visit all 4 parks, 105 times 4 would be $420. That's for one person. That's just for visiting the parks in 4 consecutive days, not counting how much money you're spending on the hotel. So for one person to pay for 4 admission tickets to each park, one admission ticket to each of the 4 parks, is $420. And then you have to account for other people. So you might be a party of 3, then that's 420 times 3. So that's, let's see, carry the 2. It's a lot of numbers. That's the answer. Yeah, anyway, so it's expensive.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I'm sure it would have cost around the same with inflation, but I mean, this is just like a whole different topic, but it really saddens me to see...
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say that Gary Vaughn says that monorail tracks aren't banked. They'd have to slow at every turn. I, sir, disagree with that. At Disneyland, the monorail tracks are extremely banked. They're designed to be able to take turns pretty quickly. If you look at the monorail track at Disneyland, they are highly banked. And as a matter of fact, if the monorail travels slowly over a banked turn, you can feel yourself almost sliding down the seat. Mm-hmm. But the ones at Walt Disney World don't have very many banked areas because they have such large turn radii. So, yeah, so that's my answer to that.
I completely forgot what I was talking about, so we'll just go ahead and skip over what I was going to mention, because there's no chance that I'm going to be able to remember what it was I was talking about. Let's see, Alex, do you have any sort of last words regarding the monorail at Disneyland?
It's fun.
It is fun, and I hope Disney doesn't take it away from us, because we love the monorail. The monorail is basically a must-do on every trip you go to Disneyland. I mean, it's Walt built the monorail, who wouldn't want to experience something that Walt built himself? And it really is sort of a little amazing ride to get on.
Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Now we're gonna try and do a little Q&A here at the end. If you guys are up to asking some questions, you guys can ask us. I mean, is there anything off limits to ask? I mean, Disney related, I guess. Disney related questions you want to ask us.
Disney related questions or questions about why we love Disney and stuff like that. So basically Disney questions. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So
Ask them up.
so yeah, just comment, or if you want to ask us some questions, and we'll be sure to answer every single one we can. Let's see. Mark Allen says, "What did you guys talk about fast passes?" We basically talked about the fact of whether we'd like to see paid only fast passes at Disneyland, and I think the consensus was that we do not at all want to see that. Let's see. Fluffy Mailman 7 says, People Mover or Skyway? That is a very tough question. I think I'd have to go with People Mover because it's...
Oh, me too.
Okay, we're we're in agreement with that, but I don't know, it's really hard because I've never ridden the Skyway, obviously, but I've ridden the People Mover at Walt Disney World. The People Mover at Walt Disney World, I feel like, has a certain aesthetic to it rather than being in the Skyway. I don't know. I'm just going to say People Mover. I'm not going to explain why. I'm just going to say People Mover.
I would say People Mover because it is just so fun and it's exciting to me. Let's see. And oh wait, I gotta scroll up for this question. So the Gumby 67 says, "What is one IP that isn't in the parks that you would like to see?" One IP that isn't in the parks that you would like to see. Right off the top of my head, as quickly as I can think, I know this sounds crazy because it's nowhere near Disney, but I would really like to have seen some kind of attraction that has to do with the Alien franchise from Fox. As Matterhorn Matt did an episode about the extraterrestrial alien encounter at Walt Disney World, its original idea was supposed to use the alien from the Alien franchise, and I would have loved to see that happen, but they never did it like that. And I know that they did something in the Great Movie Ride where they showed a small scene from the first movie Alien where Ripley is trying to get to the spaceship, and that was really cool, but I'd like to see a ride version, so that's my answer to that.
Mm-hmm. And Disneyland is already a sort of PG-13 version of the Magic Kingdom, because if you think about it, Disneyland has rides like the Indiana Jones Adventure, where Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom doesn't really... You guys know what I'm talking about. I feel like an alien themed ride would work well in Disneyland. For me, I'd have to say Beauty and the Beast, because we don't really have a sort of dedicated attraction or land to Beauty and the Beast. And I know we have the Red Rose Tavern, that doesn't count, it's just a restaurant. But I'd really like to see, and I'm sure Alex is in agreement with me, I really like to see a Beauty and the Beast either themed land or just ride itself, because it's in a
totally
movie.
I would love a themed land.
Mm-hmm. Think of the architecture they could do if they do go with the Beauty and the Beast theme land. That would be something to see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Matthew Chavez says, "How soon should I go? Tomorrow." Yes. You should go whenever you, I guess, have the money for it. If you have the money now, you should go now. Yeah.
Okay, so Nothing But Disney says, "Do you like Pixar Pier or no? Is there enough IPs already?" We covered this in our last episode, but I personally... Yeah, almost every episode. Pixar always comes up, but no, I don't like Pixar Pier. Do we have enough IPs? Not necessarily. We have certain IPs that I wish we didn't have, but there are still other IPs that I would like to see.
Yeah, I mean, Pixar Pier is a big no-no for me. The fact that California Screamin' had its last run this past week makes me super sad, even though it's basically going to be untouched, just with some thematic changes. But yeah, Pixar Pier is a big no-no for me. Mark Allen says, "I have decided I will pay the $10 max pass, but nothing more." I think it's... I don't know, I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I think it's a really good idea to pay for it at least once just to see how it works out for you. I mean, if you like the service, go ahead and keep using it, but if you don't, you don't really have to pay the extra $10 for the next day you're there. But yeah, let's see. Gary Vaughn says, Alex, what was your favorite thing about working at Disneyland? Story time, guys.
Story time. Okay, my favorite thing about working at Disneyland was making magic. And of all the departments I worked in, the one that I could make magic most was working for the guest relations department as one of their little plaid tour guides. And working there was really amazing because I had the time and the ability to do things that were really cool for people. So, for instance, when I worked in guest relations at the Lost and Found, there would be several instances where people would lose things. We called them losing their treasures. And this one little girl, she had spent all day getting all these signatures from characters, and then she lost her book, her little signature autograph book, and they were on their way out of the country to like Spain, because that's where they lived. And so it was like, even if we had gotten it back a few days later, they would have been gone. In any case, I figured it wouldn't show up. So what I ended up doing was I was what was called a helping hands. So I was a teacher who taught how to sign the autographs. And so I knew about 300 autographs right off the top of my head, how to sign them all. And so I took an unused autograph book, and I kind of went over and signed the autographs that belonged to each of the different characters that she had specifically wanted to see, plus a few extra. And then I sent that to their house in Spain. And what I ended up getting back was a nice little picture colored with crayons. I don't remember off the top of my head what it was. It was so long ago, but I got a little picture from her, and it was so nice. And we hung it up on the wall at the office. It was really great.
Alex can forge signatures, you guys. So
yes, it's one of my secret talents. I can actually forge people's signatures.
So if you ever need a permission slip signed by your mom, just mail it to Alex. He'll sign it for your... No, I'm just kidding. That really is one... I mean, I wouldn't know, but I feel like that would be one of the best parts of working for Disney, and that's really one of the reasons why I want to sort of go into that line of work. I don't know, I just really like making people happy like that, just making their day something they'll never forget,
Yeah.
Let's see. Alex, you can go ahead and read the next couple few if you want.
Okay, so Nathan Moore says, do you guys know how tall the Christmas tree was? Yes, Disneyland itself, Disneyland Park, I can't say this for Walt Disney World, but Disneyland Park for every year used to cut down a massive Christmas tree for Disneyland, and it was a live tree that was brought to Disneyland.
Okay.
And
awesome.
usually they had always purchased a 50 to 60 foot tall tree, and it wasn't until more recently, in the recent past decade or two, that they switched to a fake tree, and currently the fake tree is 50 feet tall. So that is the height of that. Let's see, and I'm reading one of them right now. Nicholas asks, thinking of visiting, I'm from out of state. Best time with the least amount of crowds. The best time with the least amount of crowds is going to be from now until about early to mid-March. These are the best times to visit the park with the least amount of crowds in the year. There's a small window just before Halloween where you can go, but it's a small window. It's like from September to like the beginning of October. It's like one little month. But right now you have up until the spring season.
I would have gone completely different. I would have said during the summer, but
what?
Then again, I've only been to Disney during the summer. I mean, you'd think that going during the summer would be a good sort of time to go without the crowds, but anytime you think that you're going to be missing out on the crowds, almost 99% of the time there's going to be a lot of crowds. I mean, Disneyland nowadays is crowded almost every day, so it's really kind of tough to predict. But Alex definitely knows his stuff, so I go with what Alex said, so yes. Let's see. Trevor Random says, do you think we'll see a Disney in Dubai? This is an interesting question. I mean, I think there's a possibility, but not anytime soon. I mean, Disney just opened its newest park in Shanghai, and I think I was watching a YouTube video, I think it was Bright Sun Films, who made a video about Universal making a park in Dubai and the fact that they just canceled it outright. I mean, I could see some entertainment theme park, sort of whatever, going into Dubai. It's just really, I don't know, I just really don't know if it'll be Disney per se.
Yeah, Disney Dubai, it's totally possible. And it would be owned probably by a major company in Dubai, most likely. But I wouldn't see it for another at least 10, 15 years from now, at least.
Let's see. The Gumby67 said maybe a Space Mountain alien overlay. That would be something awesome.
That'd be cool.
It's kind of like adding a spooky element to Space Mountain. Oh my gosh. Imagine Space Mountain with like jump scares or something. Oh my goodness.
You're already getting Matterhorn Matt scared.
It's already in the dark. It's already spooky enough as it is. Let's see. Sammy Land says, what would you reskin the Indiana Jones adventure to? Oh boy. This is really tough because... Alex, why don't you go ahead and answer first so I can have time to think of an answer.
Of course. Okay, I wouldn't, but if I had to, I would reskin it to Dinosaur because I really, really love that attraction, and I think it's really cool to be able to be amongst the dinosaurs. I know it has nothing to do with Adventureland exactly, but that's what I would do. But even then, after saying all that, no, I wouldn't reskin the Indiana Jones adventure.
Yeah, I mean, the Indiana Jones adventure is really a one-of-a-kind attraction. There's really nothing you could reskin it with that would sort of do the previous attraction justice. I mean, Dinosaur is a great ride and all, but I feel like Indiana Jones really surpasses Dinosaur.
It does.
And if you think about it, there really is no other... I mean, if we're talking about just like a basic reskin, not adding like track or anything like that, I don't know what would be a good fit for the ride layout. I mean, I'm sure they could come up with something, but yeah, it's just really interesting to think about. Let's see. Mark Allen. Alex can go ahead and read the next couple ones. I'm taking all the questions from you.
Okay, boy, I'm sorry. I think I just lost it. I lost it. I can't find it.
Let's see. Mark Allen, after the failure at DW, do you think they would want to try it again?
Oh, there it is.
Alex.
What is DW? Is that Disney World? I don't know what that is. If it's Disney World and it says after the failure at Disney World, do you think they would want to try it again? I don't know what failure that would be. if anything, the first thing that pops in my head would be Disney Hollywood Studios. That's kind of a failure park, but I don't know what that question's asking, honestly.
Mark, you can
okay.
rephrase your question if you want, and we'll answer it.
Yeah, rephrase the question. I'll read. Let's see. Robert Villanueva. Whatever. Robert says, "Is there any ride at Walt Disney World you would like to see at Disneyland?" Absolutely. I would love to see. Well, it's not exactly just a ride. It's Pandora Land. I would love to see the world of Pandora here in Orange County, whether it's at California Adventure, which would be the newly renamed Disney Adventure Park. Yeah, something like that's what I would say.
I'd have to go with the People Mover, because it's just such an awesome ride. I mean, Pandora looks amazing too, and I'd really love to have that here too. But if it was just one thing, I'd like to see the People Mover brought back at Disneyland, preferably a version, or like a variation of the one from the Magic Kingdom.
You know what? I switched my answer. I would want the People Mover too over Pandora.
Oh my goodness. I actually changed Alex's mind with my answer. Let's see. Another question. There's definitely more here somewhere. Sammy Land says, "I was a cast member last year. It was the best job I've ever had." Woohoo! Let's see. Okay, I'm going to ask there. Trevor Random says, "Okay, I'm going to ask: Are they mostly small women in the costumes?" Alex.
Okay. The short answer is yes. For the most part, there are small women in the costumes. But that depends on what costume it is. Depending on, like, if you're going to see a big character like Brer Bear, or if you're going to see Baloo the Bear, or let's even say, here's a good one, the Queen of Hearts. All those characters are very tall men that are in there. Once in a while, Disney is lucky with a very tall woman, but it doesn't matter. Even in the costume of the Queen of Hearts is a very tall man. So let's see. And as for the Fab Five characters, most of them are small. So yes, it's usually women. But sometimes they're lucky with very small men. I saw Peter Pan the other day, and obviously he's a face character, and he is a boy. He's a man, but he's a very small man that looks like a boy.
I am going to bring up something that I saw on my last trip. I did see a Minnie Mouse who was as tall as, maybe even shorter than my sister. And it threw me off guard because I was not expecting there to be Minnie that was that size. It just really, really threw me off guard. My family and I had to sort of do a double take. Is that actually Minnie, or is it just a little kid in a costume? But yes. Let's see. Nothing But Disney asks, "Have you ever been on the Walking in Walt's Footsteps tour?" I have not, but I've always dreamed of doing it, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but maybe in the future, hopefully. What about you, Alex? Well, Alex doesn't need to be on the tour. He was a tour guide, right?
Right, I was a tour guide, and I used to give the original Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour. Back then it was called A Walk in Walt's Footsteps. Now today it is called A Walk in Walt's Disneyland Footsteps, and there's also another one called A Walk in Walt's California Footsteps. But I used to give the original Walk in Walt's Footsteps before they came up with the new one. So I don't need to take the tours at the park because I already know them, and I helped create a few, like the one, the horticulture tour I helped give a few fun facts for that tour when they were writing it. I still remember the woman. I still remember the woman who was writing it too. I think her last name was Blackberry or something like that. Oh man, I forgot her name now. But very
She's
nice
watching,
lady.
and she's
So
very angry at you for forgetting her name.
I know, but she probably doesn't even remember me anymore anyway. So
Oh my goodness. Let's see. The Gumby67. Do you think Star Tours will be changed once Star Wars Land opens? Maybe to the Iron Man ride? This is a topic Alex and I have gone back and forth on previous episodes, and I really don't think Star Tours is gonna go anywhere. At least after a couple years once Galaxy's Edge opens, but eventually Star Tours is gonna be on the way out because it's really gonna be out of place once Star Wars Land opens.
yeah, you know what's interesting was someone brought up the idea of turning the old Star Tours into like a ride with Baymax. Who was it? Was it you, Matterhorn Matt, that said that? Um,
I don't think so.
oh, good answer. So, well, anyway, I thought it would be a great idea to turn it into another type of simulator ride, and I think that a ride with Baymax and Big Hero 6 movie would be
Oh,
a good
okay.
one.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so yeah, that'd be good.
Let's see. We're gonna do a couple more questions. Fluffy Mailman 7 says, "Would you like to see Westcott instead of DCA?" Um, Short answer is yes, but it really, I guess, depends on if they did Westcott well, because Westcott would have been basically a copy of Epcot, and look at Epcot. Look at the state of Epcot now. They're gonna do basically a whole refurb to Future World in the coming years because it's been so out of date, and I would like to see a version of Westcott where that problem wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Let's see, a couple more questions. Nathan says, "To Matt and Alex, if you guys had one day to go to Disneyland, what rides would you go on?" Ooh, what rides with an S after, not singular. So, if I had one day, I would go on Peter Pan, Space Mountain, Star Tours. Let's see. Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones, and the Mark Twain. Those are my 10.
If I had one day to go to Disneyland, I would definitely ride Star Tours, Indiana Jones Adventure, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, Peter Pan as well. And let's see. I suppose my last one would probably be Casey Jr. Circus Train. I really like. Oh, and the Disneyland Railroad.
Oh,
and
I
the Disneyland
forgot that
Railroad.
one. I'm adding that one to my list
Ha!
also.
I remembered it, and you forgot it.
Sammy Len says all of them. Yes. Let's see. Last question by Gary Vaughn. "My dream job at Disney would to be an Imagineer. What is your dream job at Disney?" Man, for me it'd be tied with two. I'd really love to be a PhotoPass photographer. As lame as that sounds, I feel like a PhotoPass photographer really gets in on the action when it comes to like guest interaction with the characters. I just love to see guests' reactions and how they interact with the characters. And I mean, I'm a photographer, so that'd be kind of a good thing for me. But I'd also really want to be a tour guide. I feel like I'd have to learn a lot more than I do now about Disney. But I feel like leading a tour would be something, at least something I want to try at least once in my life.
Leading a tour is really fun. It's also really kind of scary because everyone's staring at you and waiting for you to spew out knowledge. So it's kind of like it's fun, but at the same time, like terrifying. Let's see. What was the question again?
What is your Disney dream job?
Oh, I'll tell you what my Disney dream job is. To actually be a engineer on the Disneyland Railroad. I've always wanted to do that. That's my number one thing I've always wanted to do. But I don't think it will happen. And probably when I retire and get older, I'll probably try to do that. But for right now, it's not.
Also, I'd like to drive the little cars on Main Street. I feel like once, like you said, once I retire, that'd be a really awesome job to have.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Expedition Theme Park. I'm disappointed you didn't say Matterhorn. Well, I'm not a very big fan of the Matterhorn, as surprising as that sounds. Yeah. The Gumby says, I would like to drive the trams. That'd be pretty fun, driving the guests from the parking structure to the front gates. Sammyland says, I want to be a park decorator, put up all the Christmas trees or Christmas lights on It's a Small World. I feel like that would be a really tiresome task to do, all the lights on It's a Small World.
I knew someone that did that. I knew someone that that put the decorations up. They were part of the park, a type of park maintenance team that did that, and she also worked on putting up the overlay for the Haunted Mansion. But she said that the one thing she really hated was doing the It's a Small World overlay because putting all the lights up was really hard, and it's just grueling and just took forever.
Let's see. The Gumby says, the Matterhorn hurts my back. Yes, I agree. The Matterhorn hurts my back, and since I'm a really tall dude, my legs barely fit into the little seats. But yeah.
Ken Roberts asked a question that we kind of skipped over accidentally, but it's what's a fact from the horticulture tour that always surprised everyone? And that would be that would be the let's see, there was kind of two, but one of them was there's a tree in the Jungle Cruise when you're riding in the Jungle Cruise, and it's a banyan tree, and it came from what was the city? Was it Bel Air? No, was it Bel Air? Oh, it's one of the more fancier cities in LA County, and I'm pretty. It's coming up as Bel Air in my mind, and I'm forgetting. But anyway, Walt Disney had his Imagineer Bill Evans go out and look for all sorts of grown trees, like already grown trees, to install in the Jungle Cruise. And he was passing by this house in that city, and it had this really large banyan tree out front, and it was beautiful, and it looked like a perfect jungle tree. And he asked the owner, who was a woman, if he could purchase the tree. She said that her husband loved the tree and didn't want to get rid of it. But she secretly despised the tree. So she said, look, if you can get the tree out of here before my husband comes home from work, you can have the tree. And for the price that they gave, of course. But and so immediately Bob Evans got a team out, and they gave her the money for the tree, and they dug out the tree from the front yard, and they moved it to Disneyland as fast as they could. So that's one of the surprising things from that tour.
You guys, Alex is just awesome with his just little random facts that he knows. Don't you guys just love Alex? He's the best.
I am awesome. And that's the cool part, is I am awesome. You know, and I wake up in the morning and I go, wow, I'm just so awesome.
He doesn't even need for people to tell him he's awesome. He already knows it. Let's see. Last question by Party Boy Gregory. Do you think they will keep Star Tours in Hollywood studios after Galaxy's Edge opens? this is sort of where it differs from Disneyland. I do think they will keep Star Tours, at least for as long as until they decide to get rid of it. But I do think it'll be open long before Galaxy's Edge is open, since it's already so close to the Galaxy's Edge entrance. I just can't think of words, but yeah, I do think it'll stay in Hollywood Studios for a while, so you shouldn't be worried about losing that ride over there. I just can't talk today. Oh my goodness. Oh well. Yeah, guys, I think that's just about gonna wrap up this episode. This was a really awesome experience to do. Let us know in the comments or in the chat if we should do anything else different, or if we should, I guess, sort of change anything. I don't know. This was the first time any of us have ever live streamed anything like this, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for turning up. Almost 20 of you guys. It's really awesome to see you all type in chat and to answer your questions and to interact with you.
This was this was a really fun episode. I had so much fun.
Mm-hmm. And we might make this a weekly thing. So if once we figure out all the kinks and the quirks and everything, but comment down below if you guys would like to see us live every Saturday, or maybe even Sunday or Friday. It could be really any day you guys want. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We hope you all enjoyed. And Alex, any last closing words that you'd like to say?
I love you all, and thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. You guys already know how you can donate to Alex, and you are already probably subscribed to his channel. Either way, it'll be in the description. And yeah, guys, see you next time. We hope you all have a great big beautiful tomorrow.